Hello everyone. In this video I will teach you how to create Docker container of React application front end with Docker volumes. The requirements are you need to have Node.js installed in your system, and the way we are going to do is we're going to create a Docker container of React application, and with a Docker compose file will map the volumes to the existing files in your computer system. So whenever you do a change in your files, the container will automatically map that particular volume and figure out what changes are there, and then display it in your browser when the container is being run. So for currently you can see that our localhost is not running. So let's create an application, React application, and check from the local system how React application works, and then we'll create a container, and then we'll run a container with React content inside the container. So for doing that, we need a command called npx, that is node package execute. So before using npx, let us check the version of the node.js version. So we can type node and -v, and it says the version is version 18. So currently I'm using MacBook. You can, if you're using Windows, check the how do you install Node.js. So you can go to node.org and install the Node.js executable file and install it. So let's create a project called front end. So we'll use the command called npx, that is node package execute, and create React app called front end. And by the way, if you are using this command for the first time, it will ask you for your authorization, like do you confirm that you want to create an application. So if you want to proceed, you can type y, that is for yes, and your folder will be created with all the necessary packages and the dependencies. So as you can see, everything is being installed dynamically by this particular command. So you can see that our package.json file is created with all the inbuilt scripts. So if you are in development environment, or you need to type npm run start. So any developer who wants to check their application, they need to type the command called npm run start. If they are in the production environment, they just need to say npm run build, which will make sure your build production files are being executed in your production environment. And if you need to test your React application, you can use npm run test to check your init tests. And the last command is npm run eject. Okay, so to further on, let's go into the folder. Okay, so we are in the folder, and if any developer wants to check the application, can type npm run start. So the application is starting. So the application has been started. Let's refresh. So you can see that this application is being run, like being executed by your system, so not by the Docker containers. So let me just show you. And if you do any changes in your script, like here, hi, this is a front end application, just save it and see your changes are being rendered by the applications. So we'll stop the execution by the system. We'll create a container which will execute this application. Okay, so to create a container, we need a Dockerfile. Let's create a Dockerfile.dev. Okay, and the content inside the Docker file will be from the base image called node 16 Alpine. Alpine is the smallest OS type, or the smallest layer, or smallest optimized image for a Docker container. So next step will be the user which will be running the application inside this container. So we are creating a user for security reasons. Also, you should not use a container in the root user. So we are creating an guest user called node, okay, which will run the application. So after that, and we will create a directory for the new user, and then we will say that working directory should be the new user's application directory, and the new user should copy the changing owner from root to node, which we have made earlier, who will copy the file called package.json file, which has all the dependencies inside the container. And when this particular user has copied the files from the existing system to the container, it becomes the owner. After copying, we'll say run npm install the dependencies inside the container, and again we'll copy all the existing files with the owner called node, which we have created. And making sure that our container is live by the command called npm run start. Okay, so let's save this. We have saved our Docker file, and let's check if our Docker is live. Okay, Docker is not running. 1 second, I will just resume my Docker. So yep, let's say our Docker ps. Okay, our Docker is up. Okay, now we can create the Docker, build this particular image. We'll tag it with the name called React front end, and the file used for this is dockerfile.dev in the current thing. So you can see the Docker image is being created. Okay, the make directory spelling is wrong, so it is dir. Let me save and run again. So it is in the 5th step now, that is called npm install. It will install all the dependencies from package.json file and copy all the directories, and once if it has installed already, it will just run the command from the current application directory from the /home/node/app user, that is node users/app directory. So it is doing the last 2nd step. Okay, so it's done. So we can clear it and we can check the images. So we can see grep. So yep, our image is there. Now let's run this image and check docker run react fe with hyphen port called 3000 to map to container port called 3000. Okay, so 3000, the react image should be after the ports. So it has started, our container is live. So it is saying starting the development server. So it's alive. Let's check. See, our application is working from the container. Right now we have not mapped anything with the existing files. So suppose if I do anything changes on the file system, so I can say, hey, there has been changes, okay, in this particular line. Okay, so I save it and then again go refresh, do everything. The container will still not show the changes because we have not yet mapped the volumes or the existing file system. So to do that, there is a command. Let me stop this container. Okay, the container has been stopped. Now the container is not running, so you cannot see any application or in the localhost 3000 post. So the command used is docker run -p 3000 to the browser's port number and to the container's port number, and the volume which needs to be mapped node, so we'll say node modules. These are the node modules folder, which shouldn't be changed because we are not changing any of the dependencies and not installing. So we are telling that this particular volume shouldn't be mapped with the existing thing. So whenever we are mapping to the current volume, and then we'll create one more volume stating that the current directory, okay, should be mapped with the containers directory. Okay, and the image id is react fe. Okay, so we are telling that if we are mapping the existing directory, that is the present directory, in that particular directory map all the files but not the node modules files, because we're not doing any of the node any of the dependency changes. So only the present working directory will be mapped, like the source file and the public file if there is any changes, and all the files like dockerfile.dev, package.json file, package.json file. Okay, so everything will be if you do any changes in the files, it will be changed over here, but if you do changes in the dependencies file, it won't be changed because we are stating that this should be as it is. Okay, so let us run now. So it has started and it is starting the development server, that is localhost 3000. So let's check. So can you see changes have been made? There has been changes made in this particular line. So if we go back here, adding, let's say we add one more paragraph tag, and hey, there are few more changes. Okay, let's save and check the container. See, the container has been mapped with the volume, and you can see the next few lines are also being rendered. So this way we are mapping the volume, but this is not the best practice because your container is temporarily assigning this particular volume to the existing file system. So what we'll do, we'll create a Docker Compose file and make sure all these changes are there in your Docker Compose file. So whenever you do Docker Compose upbuild uh, up and d, and your all the changes or all the existing things will be noted in your Docker Compose file. So let's uh, exit the container. Yeah, we have exited the container, and let's do some revert those changes back again to where it was. Okay, we have saved this. So now we will create a Docker Compose.yaml file. Okay, to make sure you have Docker Compose installed, you need to install all the Docker tool, the whole Docker tool inside your local system. Let's clear the terminal logs. Okay, now we can say that we need the version called 3. Okay, and the services which needs to be run is one particular container with called web. Okay, and it should build the Docker file from the context from the current working present directory, and the Docker file, as it is the Docker file which needs to be built is dockerfile.dev. So we will bring copy all and paste it here, and then we'll say the ports needed are 3000 to 3000 container in quotes. Then we go to the next line and say map the volumes for this particular service, and as I said that the home and the node node users directory should not be mapped with the node modules. Okay, and the node modules is here. We don't need the node modules for now because we are changing all the files except node modules, because this is one-time change. Whenever there is a dependency change, you need to install it again. So for now we are bookmarking. It's like a bookmark. You're creating a bookmark, like please do not copy this particular node modules from the existing file system. And there's one more volume. We need to give a space after hyphen over here. That the current directory should be mapped with the containers users directory. Okay, so this is done. So let's check. So we will say Docker Compose up, and so it's building the image and checking it. So it has started, it has created a network, it has created a container called frontend web 1. So it has compiled. Let's check the application again. So let's now do any of the changes in the source file. Okay, new set of lines added. Let's save and see. So any of the change made in your file system will be automatically mapped to the Docker Compose file using the volumes. This is how you uh, attach your volumes to your existing host machine from the container, and how you use your current file system to the current existing file system from your local computer to the container services. And you can see those changes over here. So even if the even if the container dies, okay, now if the container dies and again we run those changes will be there, because this particular volume is mapped to your existing file system, so you should be able to see your changes over there. But if you run your image which is not mapped to your volume, so I have the image, okay, let me stop this particular thing and let me show you that. So I have the React FE, okay. If I run that, I run the image, okay. Oh, sorry, I should have given the container port as 3000. Now if I run the image, that image will be an like a memory image which we made earlier, okay. So it won't show you the new changes which we have done. So there is no new changes which we had done. So to make sure the changes which are being mapped from your local system to your container, we use volumes. So thank you guys.